All right, so we had a rather spirited discussion about deconsolidation during our Winging It Wednesday hour today with folks on all sides of the issue. It seems like the overall was just make sure it's done right to start with.
Yeah, a lot of questions. Okay, so earlier this week there was some discussion going on about deconsolidation. Is there like kind of a path forward? All right, joining us is one of the council members who kind of has his thoughts, his ideas on it, Councilman William Theriot. I saw you quoted in a story that said, why not just let everybody else, the municipalities that we have within the parish of Lafayette, there's been so much annexing already. Why not let them annex further? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, Bernie. At this point in time, back then, it probably wasn't feasible because there was still a chance the unincorporated may have the ability to sustain itself. But at this point, it cannot. There's no way in order to, tax yourself to prosperity with the unincorporated, which is what they'd have to do at this point. So my suggestion would be that you divvy up the unincorporated like a piece of pie. Every municipality would get a piece of the unincorporated, and therefore you would have no unincorporated anymore, and the city of Lafayette would be just like every other municipality, Youngsville, Broussard, Karen, Crow, Scott, or Dussault.
Mm-hmm. So is the problem annexation, in your opinion? Because we have all that unincorporated area. One of our panelists this morning called it, what did she call it, areas of interest, areas of
influence.
Of influence,
yes.
Should we just take all that unincorporated area and make all the municipalities claim some of it?
That's what I'm proposing, and talked to a number of residents and individuals in the unincorporated. As you all know, I live in the unincorporated, so I speak to quite a few people, and they, I definitely ask their opinions on what they think, because the unincorporated at this point in time has no sales tax revenue. The unincorporated may have a lot of people in it, but all you have is property taxes. There are no sales taxes. Basically, you can count your businesses almost on one hand that are in the unincorporated because, like you guys mentioned earlier, anytime a business that would come up in the unincorporated is somehow annexed into a municipality, therefore taking away any kind of sales tax revenue.
So we were talking, what part of the discussion this morning that was mentioned, the three panelists were talking, and kind of one area was sort of this idea, and we're going to talk to Mr. Bruce Conk tomorrow, because they were kind of referencing whether or not there was kind of like an idea going forward of what it could be done or how it could be worked out. That seems like an awful big bite of an apple to take and try to get this on a ballot in this fall. I mean, do you think that's possible?
Well, at this point in time, I agree. I think this is moving very fast. I was never contacted about any of this information. I know there have been thoughts of other individuals that this is the direction that they'd like to go. Mm-hmm. What they're proposing, in my opinion, will not solve the problem. And let's think of it this way. First of all, we've heard comments that by splitting it up and having a city council and a parish council, it's not going to cost any more money.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was wondering, too. Like, who pays for what? How would that work?
Well, let's think of it this way. If you've got two bodies now, you used to have one group of individuals meeting with legal and meeting with clerks and everybody at one time. There's one cost associated with that. Now, if you split it into two and you have two 5-member groups meeting at separate times in different areas, isn't that going to cost more money to cover that?
I think that's a great question to ask.
Okay, and let's take this additionally. We all know what hot topic items are, hot button issues are.
Yeah.
What the people need to understand is right now we have 9 members that are making a decision on this. Therefore, you need 5, a majority of 5, in order for some very hot button issue to pass. If we go to 5-member councils, all you're going to need is 3.
Wow. I never thought about that.
On issues like someone brought up downtown. You know, if downtown just has a couple people, I think, that have different parts of it, right? All of downtown is not one
One district?
I don't think.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, okay. All right.
What about...
The thing is I guess what I'm getting at, and I mean no disrespect to anybody, but it's a lot easier to get 3 votes than it is to get 5.
Well, and that's true.
On a smaller area that they care about.
I can't, forgive me for not remembering. I remember in Lafayette we had a 5-person city council. But
a long time ago, yes, before consolidation.
Yeah, before. And then did we have 9 members on a police jury at that time?
No, I don't think there were 9 members.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. I apologize.
It could be 7, but that was a long time ago before you were in my time.
Yeah, I know. Thank goodness, huh? We're not as old as we thought we were.
Mr. Theriot, I want to ask you about term limits, because that came up as well. Would this be considered a whole new form of government? So folks who were close to being term limited out, could they be on these new councils? How would that work, or has that even been discussed yet?
It hasn't been discussed, I guess, amongst council members, but I can tell you this. Back, I think it was in, 2012, 2013, when we were talking about the deconsolidation issue, and it went before the people. You remember that?
Yes, because we discussed it, the whole thing, the vote, yeah.
Yeah, well, I went and I inquired with the legal department because at that time that was one of my questions. And they said anytime you form a new type of government, everything sets back to the status quo of the beginning, which means that anybody who has been in there, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, can start from scratch and run again for 3 terms.
So theoretically, if Joey Durrell wanted to run for 3 terms as mayor of Lafayette, I guess, or, for a term, he could.
Yes, but I'm talking about this can be concurrent, which means, like myself, there's 4 of us that are term limited on the council.
Okay.
And myself included.
I see what you're saying. Okay. So
then it would be totally new.
What it is if you create a new form of government, then those council members, and I can assure the public, I will not be running again for council, regardless.
Okay.
So, but those council members, if there is a new form of government, then they have the ability to start over again.
So it's kind of resets the clock? Okay. Yep. Now, why wouldn't you run again? Well, I mean, you'd have the opportunity then.
Yeah, I think that I have been on the council. There are 2 conservative voices on this council, myself and Bellard, and that's another good aspect. Think of it this way. If we separate this, basically the 2 most conservative individuals that have ever been on the council will no longer be there.
Wow.
You see, if that were to go real quick. Now, granted, I'm sure most of this stuff, so not to say that some people wouldn't be jumping up and down and hooting and hollering saying great, but there are other people that, I guess it's funny, but they actually support me and Mr. Bellard, and they believe in the ideals of conservative that we do.
Which is you serve for a while and then you're kind of done.
Yeah, no, it would be time to get somebody. And something else to consider is that, look, with Lafayette, we hear this all the time that Lafayette's a conservative city. Well, I would go as far to say is that for a good time now, there really has not been 2 points of view on the council.
Okay.
It's more or less been one way, and that's it. I mean, because there have not been a majority of conservative individuals in the council for a very long time.
Wow. So you think, okay, all right, well, that's interesting. All right, well, our guest, Lafayette City Parish Councilman William Theriot.
We'll have to continue this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have to find another time to continue on with this, too.
And look, one final thing I want to mention, guys, and I had a friend come up to me, I guess, about 4 or 5 days ago, and he says, William, what's going on with this? He says, really, he said, if they're putting this on the agenda, he says, what do you think about it? And, of course, the people in Lafayette are very smart. Nothing is put on the agenda until they have the votes secured to pass it.
Well, isn't that interesting? I guess
it's an interesting point of view.
That's an interesting point of view.
You know, that has been pretty much normal protocol. It's not going to make it to the agenda unless the votes have been secured to pass it. So
that's kind of how you feel has been the history. I see.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure that, a lot of people in the city and the unincorporated agree it's the same way. They're just and a time when we've got 2 tax measures coming up in November. We got 2 additional tax measures coming up in December, and we're going to put this on there too.
Well, it's going to be a lot on the ballot then.
Councilman William Theriot, we got to let you go for time, sir. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you, sir.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Wednesday.
All right,
Thank you.
June 27th. Moon's next. It's 9 o'clock. Right here on News Talk 96.5
It's 9
KPEL.
o'clock. It's already gone, people. That's amazing. All right. I've got a look at news at the top of the hour.